Hello everybody, this is Joseph here, and I know it's been a long while, and today we are going to handle a basic topic in web development, that is building chat applications. Now the go-to way to do this is to use WebSockets. So if you're using Django, you use something like Django channels, but it turns out many of us cannot really afford the luxury of owning VPS servers and managing them, and so we resort to using cPanel shared hosting, which do not offer those capabilities. So it is worth exploring things the old way using Ajax to build our chat system. So that is what we're going to handle today, and right now I'm in my projects folder. This is where I keep all my projects. So I'm going to start with Django admin, start projects, then Django Ajax chats. So this is what I'm going to name my project, and change directory into Django Ajax chats. And well, you can see the project is set up by Django admin, and I don't need to waste time. Let me just create my app. So Python manage.py start app, and I'll name it chat. Now that is also created, and I like to also create a virtual environment. It's actually advisable. So python-m, and I will install all my sources, that is Django, HGIREF, and the rest inside there. Well, I'll be back when this installation is done. So now the installation is done. My virtual environment has been created. I'll open this folder in VS Code, which is my text editor of choice. Now I need to go into this Django Ajax chat, and I need to initialize I need to put my app over here so that it's loaded. So I just put in chats, and I think that'll be it. Now go into my urls.py. I'll import include, and then I'll include chats.urls. Then I need to go into chats and create a urls.py in order to avoid any errors. Then from Django just my type into is not working because my VS Code is still setting up. Oh, it's done, and I don't have Django installed, so pip install Django. Sorry about those underscores. I'll create my URL patterns, and there will be relatively only one URL. So a path where you would specify the ID of the user you want to chat with, and then we are going to have just one URL pattern over here. This is the only one we need. Next up, we need to define how we receive messages and who a message sender is and the rest. So we're going to jump into our models, and we need to get the user from Django.contrib.authentication import get user model, and then I'll say my user equals get user model. Oh, why is VS Code doing this to me? Sorry about that. So my message, which extends model.model, is simply going to be a model field with a sender, which is a foreign key to user. I'll make the related name send messages, and then we'll delete this model, cascade it. If the user model is deleted, then we have a receiver, which will be right about the same thing, except the related name will be received messages, and the onDelete will stay the same. And then we need an actual message. I think I'll make it just a text field so that we can contain as many characters as we want. Now we need something to denote whether the message has been read by the user. So by default you set it to false, and we need a way to order them. We want the last message to show up last in the chat room, so for the ordering I'm just going to say date created, and oh, I forgot to put date created here. Date time field auto now add equals true. So that is all we need to define a message. Next up, we need to create our view that serves these messages, and this view wouldn't do much. We just fetch the messages and we display them. So that is what we are going to do, but we're going to have two views, and I think at first I said one URL, but two URLs for that matter. So first we need to import login required to ensure that all people that access a particular URL are logged in, and then we need JSON response. Because we are using ajax and we need to send it in JSON format, and then well, from Django.shortcuts we have render. We also need get object of 404. What else do we need? Then from the models we also need the user model and then the message model. Then we also need, we will do a little bit unusual queries, so we need the queue object. We need JSON, and I think that's all we need. So let's go ahead and create our view. We have a login required view, create a chat room which takes in a request, then an integer to match the ID of the user we want to chat with. So we are going to get that user, and we would set that user to get object of 404 user pk equals pk, and then we are going to check for all the messages that the current user shares with this other user. So you see the messages. Let's go to message.objects.filter. Now this is where our sort of advanced queries come in. Okay, not yet. Right now, since the person is starting to know, we want to show all the messages, so we sent so we are just going to pass in all the messages the person share with this guy. So we are going to see, first of all, queue object. So either the receiver is the other user and the sender is the current user, or the receiver is the current user, which is request the user, and then the sender is the other user. Now when we have these messages, we just need to render to a chatroom.html, and we'll pass in the other user as other user, and then the messages as messages. But before we do this passing, we are going to update this query set so that all those messages will be marked as seen. So messages.update seen equals true. Now let's go ahead and create a template. We create a chatroom.html. I must say that well, this is VS Code shorthand for creating an HTML file, for a basic standard HTML file. So what we are going to do is we're going to have a header which will contain the username of the other user we are chatting with. Then we have a messages area which is going to contain all the messages the people share, the two people share. So we say for message in messages, and for then we are going to do a div class of message, but then a little extra check here. So we say if message the sender is equal to request or user, then we add a class of right, else we add a class of left, and if, and then we also need something to denote the sender. So message.sender username. Then we also need a message content, and that would be message.message. I was just about to say we are done, but I forgot we still need a way to input things. So we have an input area, and in it we are going to have an input with an ID of message input with a type of text. and then we have a button with an ID of send button. So just send. We need to style this a bit, because if I run it right now it will look very awkward. So I'm just going to do some very basic styling, not so much, sorry. Style. So I'll reset everything, box sizing, border box, then padding of 0, margin 0. I'll set the body to have a display of flex, a height of 100 vertical height, a background of ajax, dark, the cool color, then flex direction of column. Then I also need to style this header, and I'll set a padding of 10 pixels, 5%, okay, yeah, I think it is. Then a background of ash 444, then color of ash 888. So everything is dark, I also need to style the messages area. I'll set it to a height of 100%, and then I need a minimum height of 70 vertical height. This really isn't necessary, but let's just leave it there. In case it overflows, we want the scroll to appear, then a padding of maybe 4%, and a background of, it's also dark, just with a little difference. And I want the color to be 999, and padding at the bottom to be maybe 10 pixels. The input area, I will set it to also have a display of flex and a flex direction of rule. Justify content center. Maybe I needed to separate some of these to have utility first CSS, because I see flex is repeating itself too much. The message input, I'll set padding to 20 pixels, width of 100%, and send button also has a padding of 20 pixels, 40 pixels. In case this doesn't match, you can change it any way you want it. But in order to run this, I need to create 2 user accounts. So python manage.py create super user. So the first account I'll create, so I already have a typo over here. Let me check it out. So foreign, and just before I run this create super user, I need to do make migrations, and then I need to migrate. Oops, that is a bunch of errors over here. So from dot import views, I think that should do. Oh yeah, that did the trick. So we create and we apply all our migrations. Sometimes when I think of migrations, I ask myself, how would I do if I had to write all SQL by hand. Oh man. So Python manage.py creates super user. I'll create a user with a username of user. I'll leave the email address, password of password. Then another one, which is user2. Then password again. Please use a secure password when deployed. So Python manage.py run server. And then I can open over here to localhost 8000. And as soon as I do, we should see this because we have no view 7 at this point. But suppose we want to see a user by an ID, we need to log in, and we haven't set in any login route. So what we need to do is, in order to log in, we use the admin panel to log in. So for this user, I'll do user password. Then I'll create a new incognito tab and do the same thing so that both browser tabs share different cookies. So user, now this one needs to be user2, the other one user password. Now for this one, I can go to I created user first. So user2 here, and then so this is how our chat room looks like, and right now we don't really have any messages, so well, there's nothing to display. In order to display something, we need a way to create these messages, and we are going to use Ajax to do the creation and viewing of retrieval of messages. So that is going to be our second view, which is also going to be a login required, the created view, and we will name it Ajax load messages, which will also take in requests, then the ID of the user, the other user, we get the other user equals get object of 404 user, and then we are going to fetch the messages again. So messages is equal to message dot objects dot filter. In this case, we don't want to fetch messages that have been seen. We want only messages that have been unread. If not, we are going to populate the chat screen with the same messages multiple times, and then we would update these messages to show that they've been seen, and we will create a list where we are going to use list comprehension. So what we need is the sender, and the sender is going to be the message dot sender the username. Let me break this up. We also need a message, and that will be message, and then we need to know whether it was sent or received by the current user. So sent is going to be just a boolean check, so this, and we say for message in messages. Yeah, happily the error goes away. And then what if the user is posting something? So if the request method is a post, then we need to grab that message the person is posting. So we say message is equal to JSON.load, and we are loads because I think load reads from a file. So we are going to do loads instead, and we will load from request.body. And when we have this message, what we are going to do is you create a new message for it. So the receiver will be the other user, and the sender will be the current user, then the message will be message. Then we are going to append this data just like we did for the other messages. So we say sender equals request user, the username, because we already know who the sender is. Then the message will be m.message, sent is going to be true, and then when we come down here, we are going to return a JSON response instead of render, and we'll pass in this message list. But we also need to pass in safe equals false, because if we don't do this, if we don't pass in safe equals false, then Django will complain that it will only do JSON rendering for only a dictionary. Now, if as long as we've set this up, all we need to do is some JavaScript to have things work on the front end. So we add a style, sorry, not a style. I think I undid some things here. Okay, some scripts, and when we have this scripts, I'm running out of my English, don't worry. Okay, so we just need to get the send button, then we get the message input, and then we have a function. We need to define a function to send a message, and we will grab the message from the message input. So let's and once we have the message, we check if the message is just an empty string, we return. If it's not, we set the value of this message input to an empty string, so like we are clearing it, and then we do a fetch. Now over here we need to do get the URL, so we are going to let Django do that for us. A URL will be from chatroom ajax, then other user.id. But because we are making a post request, there are a few things we need to pass in. If we don't, then Django will complain for our own security sake. So we set the method to post, but the one Django will complain about is in this credentials block. So we need our cross-site request forgery, that one. So those are going to be in the headers, and the headers is also going to be content type. It's going to be application/JSON. Then the XCSRF token. And I'm pronouncing this is a little hard for me, don't worry. And you get that from Django when the page is rendered. And then we get the body, and we set it to JSON.stringify the message. Let me format that properly. Put my comma there, and where does the bracket end? Okay, so we do a dot then because fetch returns a promise, and then we say e.json, another dot then again, and this will give us a message, and then we pass this message in. So what we are going to do is messages. So we say for message of messages, then we will do a construct. So this is a helper function we are going to create, but before we do, we also need a function to load messages. And this is also going to do a similar fetch request, except this time we are not going to use any post request, and when we don't use any post request, then we don't need to pass in any special CSRF token or headers. So we just do a simple fetch, which is a get, and then do then e.json then which is taken in messages, then the same for message of messages constructs message. Let me do auto formatting over here. So I'll bring this down, then this down, I think that is better. And we need to construct our message, which will take in a message. And what this is going to do is it's going to grab the message container, or maybe message area, or let me just name message container. So I'll use the query selector. Let me grab the class name, messages area. I'm using query selector so that only one will be selected, and please don't forget the dots so that it doesn't return a list. And when we have this, we are going to create a variable class name which is going to be left, and then I'm going to say if the message was sent, then class name is right. That was just already is left, and then you create a div, and this is going to be a div element, and I'll add some classes to it. The class is going to be message, and then class name, so it's going to be either left or right. And then I'll set the inner HTML. Notice I'm using backticks. I'll set it to just a copy of what I have here. Why is it this? So I'll just replace this with $sign, and this one too with the $sign. Like here I'll be message the sender, and then I'll say message is container dot append child, and I'll say div dot scroll into view. So I think this is all, but then I need to message send button dot add event listener. So I'll listen to the click event, and then I'll do send message. So let's test that it works, and then we can proceed to the next phase. So I'll reload over here. Oh, I forgot to add a URL. So I'll go to the views, I'll copy the name of this function, go to the URLs, I'll do path ajax slash int pk slash views dot and name equals chat room ajax. I hope that is the right name I give to them. Let me see, chat room ajax. Yeah, so I reload here, and let's see. Okay, it failed because I did a typo. Chat room. Oh, sorry about that. Store up popping up. So I'll put this to the side, to the left. Let me reduce their sizes a bit, and I'll type hello and save. Just want to see that no error happened over here, and we did a post request, and let's open the shell. Then from chat the models import message, so we do message the objects.all, and it's saying we have a message created. So let's go over here also, and then we create hello there. Oh, that does not seem to work. I'll reload, and hello. Yep, so the previous messages sent are showing, just the new messages are not showing. So I'll go into the terminal to try and see why. Oh, it says div dot class list is not a function, so I just go into the construct messages. So it's class list dot add. Okay, a simple mistake but can cost us a lot. And let's reload and see the error is not showing. How are you? And we have how are you back here again. Fine. We have I'm fine. Hello. So we have hello. Now I did not finish with the styling, so it all looks weird, and I did that because I wanted to get quickly to working on. So message or left, so if we have a left, text align should be left, and then we set the maximum width to we set the color to a, then message content, so we have a background of 444. We have a pattern of 5 pixels, 10 pixels. We have a border radius of 10 pixels. Then we have a maximum width of 80%, and then we set the display to inline block, and then we have message dot right, so the text align will be right, and maybe I'll give that a different color. So color, what color will be suitable? Maybe ash CCC perhaps. So let me reload and see if my styling is any good. So yeah, our styling works at least a bit, and I'll test again. How are you? And yes, it works. The only thing is our messages are not loaded in real time, so in order to enable that, we have to set an event listener for this load messages. So I'll say we set an interval, or should I say a timeout, so an interval for load messages, and I'll set it to 1000, which means 1 second each. So it means every second we are going to query to, I'll reload again. Every second we are going to query to see if we have a new message coming in. So I keep typing hello, how are you? My messages don't seem to be loading. Oh yeah, so they are loading. You can see them coming up here. Hello, how are you? So I'll intentionally delete everything. Message.objects.all. So now that everything is deleted, when I refresh, I expect to see blank pages, and I can do hello there. Now let's wait to see if our message appears. It's past a second and our message did not appear. So we need to investigate to see what was wrong. One thing we can do is to log these messages. So console.log messages. I'll reload, and it seems our messages are coming out as an empty list all the time. So I'll go into my views and I'll see, okay, I have my message.objects.filter. So yeah, this here is a problem, and the reason is our messages need to be filtered from the particular user we are referencing. So messages.filter scene equals false, and then we filter with this query, and now we can reload again. Let's see if it works. Hello, hi, and it still shows up as an empty list. So I would let me come back. The default was false. Console.log. Hey, sorry, my JavaScript is taking print messages. Then I'll print message list. So message.objects.filter scene equals false. So you have nothing there. Message.objects.all I message objects in underscore when I.c. So it seems whenever a message is created, so I see one place that we might be causing an issue. One place you might be causing an issue is we always mark a message as seen for everybody over here, which really isn't what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the part where I'm going to cut off the part, this part, and then I'm going to mark as seen, and then I'm going to say messages equals messages or message.objects.filter. So I mark as seen before I do this, and then over here also I check for those that are not seen, and I am going to take this off, and that is I am searching for only messages that we are the receiver of. Now let's try again. Hello. So we caught that there. As soon as I marked the message as unseen, it was sent. So message dot, well, let me reduce the time from 100 seconds to 2. Message dot objects, then let me reload. Sorry. Then I message.objects.all .updates seen equals false. Now the very moment I do this, I expect to see those messages loaded up in the, yep, so they were. Oh, so it was skipping my mind. In Django, a query set is evaluated only when you try to access a value in it, like in a loop. And at first I was doing messages.updates before I did this list comprehension. So after the update, this list comprehension results in having no messages at all in the query set. So I had to move the messages.update from the top to the bottom so that the list comprehension is done before the update is done. And with that being done, we can test it out. I type hello user2. Okay, for now I'll delete all the messages, and then I'll reload each of the pages, and they all start off blank. Hello user2. Now we get an empty list all around, and we see the same message popped up for him around here. Takes almost about 2 seconds. Hello there user1, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Hey, I'm sure you don't want to spend all day listening to me chat with myself, addressing myself as user1 and user2. So I hope this helps. And next time if you're working on a project and you are restricted by your hosting environment, you can't use WebSockets, then you can just resort to this type and you can build your own chat system, or you can very easily also use it to build some sort of notification system and the like. See you again next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.